Welcome. My name is Andrew, and this is the Who Dat Discussion, a New Orleans Saints podcast where we talk about all news, opinions, and reactions of the Saints. So, before we begin, I just want to thank everyone who has supported this podcast, to this episode by following us on Twitter at the Who Dat Dis, following us on Podomatic at the Who Dat Discussion, and listening to our first 3 episodes on our various platforms. It really means a lot to me as we're just a growing podcast that is still very small in episode 4. So if you haven't already, please follow us on Twitter and Podomatic, and you can find us on YouTube at the Who Dat Discussion. And there, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get updates on future episodes. So, with all that, let's get to some Saints news. So, as training camp approaches, this is really a quiet period where, it's in the middle of free agency is over, mini camp's over, and training camp's just about to start. So there's not as much news, but we got some news. So first, the Saints announced their 2018 training camp schedule. So I'm just going to give you a little rundown on important dates. So rookies report on July 18th, so you'll be able to see, Marcus Davenport in action and Traquan Smith in action. And then everyone else reports on July 25th, where there will be physicals. And then on July 26th, private practices start with no pads. And those are, no public can be allowed there. But then on July 28th, practices with pads starts. That's really when everything starts. We're practicing with pads, physicality, and that's really a good thing. And, that's really when it all starts. Fan night is August 5th, and so that's where, the fans, it's basically the Saints, celebrating the fans that day. There'll be, floats up for the kids. And, and more players will, be able to sign, and there'll be more festivities. Our first training camp game, our first preseason game is on August 9th. And that's against the Jaguars. And then the last practice of preseason is August 19th. So that's really our schedule, for this training camp. This really just means that, a season's starting, everything's getting ramped up, and we're just so close. We're very close, and I just really, I really can't wait for the season. I really think we're going to be a really, a tough team to beat. So, just talk about a little more about training camp. I mean, just for the couple of injuries, and they said they'd be ready by training camp, or if they won't be. Well, Marcus Davenport is healthy, and, that was shown through he attended Von Miller's pass rushing camp. And then also Cameron Meredith is probably going to participate in training camp activities as he's recovering from an injury that took him out the whole 2017. So, he's really progressed, and that's really good because, there are a lot of injury concerns when we signed him. So now that he's progressing nicely, it seems that's a very good sign for him and, this, slot in the 2018 season. So with that said, we got more Saints news, and this is really connecting to last week. So 24/7 Sports, breaks down the sense if the Saints are eyeing Dez Bryant. This is not the only article, it's just one of them. Also, the Who Dat Dish put one out, and also the Saints WR put one out, and those are really good articles. I'll put them in the description below if you want more information. And it really, the 24/7 Sports, that's more of a Cowboy site. And it also talked about Dez going to either the Saints or Giants. And this was really, this has really talked about Saints and Dez Bryant really gotten linked this past week because Brian Brodas of the Star, he's a beat reporter for the Cowboys, said to keep an eye out for Dez going for the Saints. And, his sense is that the Saints are going to acquire Dez. So, again, this is really, it really went through what I went through last week, saying, he's a great talent, but there's not really as much as a spot for him. But, he works really well in the system. Sean Payton would be able to find a nice spot for him. So, to me, the fit's there, the talent's there. We just don't really have the space. So, I could see if we have an injury, Ted Ginn gets injured, or Brandon Coleman, or Traquan Smith, I could see them going right after Dez. I think this is a really good training camp move that I can really see happen. I wouldn't be surprised, if we wake up, maybe during training camp and we sign him, even if there are no injuries. Because you never can have enough depth. And, if you can sign him for we only have $4 million of cap space left. So I would sign him like 2 years, $12 million, give him $4 the first year, and then give him $8 the second. If he's still with us, because I would give him no guaranteed money. He doesn't really have a lot of leverage here, or he's not going to play in 2018, or you can just take a veteran minimum or something if you wanted to do that. I mean, his stats in 2017 were 69 catches, 838 yards, and 6 TDs. I mean, obviously we talked about it last week. He had a lot of great years with the Cowboys. So, you just look at it. To me, I would just bet on the talent. He's such a good talent. He's shown when he has pretty good QBs, like Romo, he can succeed. And, I just don't think Dak was the right QB for him. I don't think the Cowboys system was the right system for him, but I think our system's perfect for him. To me, I think he could go back to his days when he was putting up, 88 catches, 1,300 yards, 16 TDs. I could see him doing that again with us. He could be a complement number 2 to Michael Thomas. He's a different receiver than Thomas, but to me, they would be perfect together, and have Ginn on the outside if he can be in the slot. But then we have Meredith, so it's just, it's tough. But, to me, you sign him, give him no guaranteed. If you want to cut him, because, you really can't pass up, Dez Bryant, the talent of Dez Bryant, because he's such a, he could be a star if healthy and everything, goes his way. So, with all that said, I'm pretty sure that's all the Saints news this week. And, not that much because, training camp's coming. Next week we're going to do our training camp preview, and that's, that will dive us right into training camp and that stuff. But now we're going to go on to our next topic, and that's going to be, we're going to do 2 position breakdowns, the wide receiver position and the cornerback position. These were suggested on Twitter by Tyler and SaintsFan9. So we're going to start off with wide receiver this week. And, first we're going to do the depth chart. So Michael Thomas, he's our number 1 receiver, obviously, 104 catches, over 1,200 yards, 5 TDs. Then our second receiver on the outside is Ted Ginn. He had 53 catches, 787 yards, 4 TDs. In the slot, Cameron Meredith, 66 catches, 888 yards, 4 TDs in 2016 with the Bears, because he was out in 2017. Then the fourth receiver, rookie Traquan Smith, 59 catches, over 1,100 yards, 13 TDs. That was in college at UCF. And Brandon Coleman had 23 catches, 364 yards, and 3 TDs in the slot last year for the Saints. So, with all that, you really can see this is a really deep group. Also we have other special teamers like Tommy Lewis. He had that TD against the ATL. And then, we also had Austin Carr, played some great special teams. Also, we got Josh Huff, the former Eagle. We got him on, a special deal, at the end of the season last year. It was it's a kind of like a 2-way deal in the NBA. So he'll be from practice squad back and forth. So, this is just a very deep group. You see it. We have Michael Thomas, Traquan Smith, and Cam Meredith, all very, very young players too. Ginn's really the veteran of the group. Besides that, everyone's very, very young. It's just a very solid group. They added a lot of playmakers with Meredith and Traquan Smith. And then if they add Dez, that's just another playmaker to add to the bunch, and just your depth goes, through the roof. You have so many great wide receivers. And, to me, all those wide receivers at Drew Brees' disposal really can't, do anyone wrong. You're just looking at it. Mike Thomas is going to get even better. He's really top 5 receiver. And then you add Dez to that. That's just insane. To me, that would be, for Drew Brees, that's just amazing. Our passing, offense is just going to be insane. I mean, you just look at it. You have studs all through, our whole depth chart. But, you just look at the additions and subtractions. We got Cam Meredith from Chicago and Traquan Smith drafted in the 3rd round from UCF. And we had no subtractions. So we're just adding on to a pretty good group last year with 2 great playmakers that, they've shown that they can be very, very good. Traquan Smith, most of his catches, I think over 75% were for first downs, and we need that. Our 3rd and middles were just very, very bad last year. Our 3rd and longs and 3rd and shorts were just as good as before, but our 3rd and middles were just, awful. So you just look at it, and, these 2 players are going to really, improve that. And, they're all possession receivers that get first downs, and we really needed that. And I think Mickey Loomis saw that. I think Sean Payton saw that. And that's what we went out to get. And Dez is that same type of receiver. You look, even with Dak, he was doing slants for first downs. That's the type of, wide receiver he is. So he would be a really good addition to that, too. And now we're just going to look at the storylines for the wide receivers heading into 2018. So is Michael Thomas a top 5 receiver, and will he keep progressing? To me, that's yes and yes. You see his work ethic, attitude. He has elite talent. Great attributes, and he has knowledge and route running ability that I don't think anyone else has in the league. To me, I learned a lot about his techniques and route running ability from videos done by Deuce Wyndham. I was going to give him a shout out because he does great work in his film sessions, and I really learned a lot from it. But you just look at Mike Thomas's ability to just be really good as a cornerback. Just look at Xavier Rhodes. He just made him look. It was like a clinic out there, and he kept on burning him in that second half. You just look. He's going to be. He's an elite receiver and top 5 receiver in this league. Other storylines is will Ted Ginn replicate his 2017? And that's it's a tough one because you just look at Ted Ginn. He had a career year last year. You want to look at it. I think he did. 53 receptions, 787 yards, 4 touchdowns, and you're just looking at none of these years he had that. In 2016 he had 54 receptions, but not as many yards. He had 44 receptions in 2015. He did have 10 TDs that year, but less yards, less catches. So it's just he never really had a great year, And then this year he comes out and he just had a great year, possession receiver, and he was actually really, really good at it, and he was great in the postseason too. He had a lot of very, very clutch catches for us. He had the big touchdown against the Panthers. So, will he be able to replicate that? And to me, I think he could. If he stays healthy, I think he's going to be a really good receiver. You just look at it. I can't see why not. He can't do what he did last year. Looking because as he got older, his route running ability got better. His ability to catch the ball early in his career, he had a case of the drops a lot. And this season he really didn't. As he got older, he hasn't as many drops when he was with the Panthers the last couple of years. And to me, he really matured when he was on the Panthers. And I think we're reaping the benefits of that when the Panthers let him go at the end of 2016. And the other storyline is Cam Meredith, stay healthy. And this is, I think, yes. And as he progresses, he's going to become more and more healthy. And he's done a really good job to get healthy for this year. And it seems like he's going to be ready for training camp. And if he's healthy, he put up great numbers with awful QBs. In 2016 with the Bears, Jay Cutler, whatever. He did a really, really good job as a possession receiver. Now look what he can do with Drew Brees. I'm just really excited to see that, if he can stay healthy, and I think he definitely can. So, on to our next position breakdown, and that will be cornerback. So we're going to start with the depth chart, and that is Marshawn Lattimore. He had 5 picks, 52 tackles. Ken Crawley had 1 pick, 54 tackles. Patrick Robinson had 4 interceptions, 47 yards with Philadelphia. Natrell Jamerson had no interceptions and 51 tackles at the University of Wisconsin. But he also could move to safety, but I just looked at the depth chart on ESPN.com, and they had him number 4 for cornerback. P.J. Williams, who was like our slot guy last year, had 2 picks, 47 tackles. And then our 6th is Karim Moore. He had 0 picks at BC. So, others, such special teamers, Devontae Harris, Arthur Millette, and Lyndon Stevens, these guys, they're just great special teamers. As our special teams were just great last year, you're looking up and down the board. So, this was a real strength last year's team, and to me, this is going to be a real strength with this year's team. You just look at it, we have lots of depth and a lot of young talent. You have Lattimore, Crawley, Patrick Robinson still young, you have P.J. Williams still young, so you're just looking at all these guys. To me, we have 3 very, very good, cornerbacks. You're just looking at it. You just look at the additions and subtractions. Patrick Robinson, we added Natrell Jamerson, Karim Moore, both in the draft. But, and we gave away no subtractions again. The only, and that's just really big, just you look at it, we have Patrick Robinson, who was rated the best slot cornerback of all last year. Lattimore, who was rated the best rookie out of all last year, and he was a stud last year, And then Ken Crawley, who was rated really well on Pro Football Focus, and if he could just develop a step further into being physical without giving as many penalties, to me he's going to be another top player. And you're just looking at it, there's no reason that this team, group, can't be better. And, and got better from last year because they were a strength last year. Really our defense, it really had a good front good front four and a good back four, and then the middle, the linebackers weren't as good. But you're looking with this, this group, to me, it's going to be even better. It's going to be stars. I can see Crawley being a Pro Bowler. Lattimore could definitely, I think he's going to be one of the best cornerbacks in the league. And you could just see it, just putting Lattimore on an island there, it gives the defense so much more versatility. And, if he's healthy, it gives everyone more, reasons to think that, we're going to be very, very good. So top storylines is, can Patrick Robinson emulate a 2017 and 2016 with the Eagles in his old stopping grounds? To me, this is yes. He's always been great in the slot, a slot corner. He's been great there. Even with the Saints, when, his career wasn't as good in the beginning of his career, he's been always amazing in the slot. And, you just look at it, there's no reason that he can't, do that again for us. He was great in the slot his whole career. Then he got moved to the outside and the boundaries, and he just wasn't as good. So you're just looking at it, and there's no reason why he can't be good in the slot, more. And that's really his best attribute. And to me, that's what we really needed, because we got burned in the slot last year. No offense, to P.J. Williams and whoever was in the slot last year, and Devontae Harris for a game or two. But, these guys, they couldn't cover. Even the playoff game, Adam Thielen just completely, torched us for, big gains throughout. So, you're just looking at it, if we can stabilize the slot, and the outsides are pretty good. This group, I don't see a real hole. So onto another storyline, can Crawley take his game to the next level and become even better complement to Lattimore? So to me, first we're hoping that he doesn't digress back, but to me, he can definitely, get better and be a better complement to Lattimore. If he just stays, physical, but not, getting penalties physical, if he can find that happy medium, he's going to be, to me, he could be maybe just as good as Lattimore. He is just a very good attitude towards the game. He's pretty smart. Just sometimes he gets a little too physical and, has a lot of penalties. He's prone to penalties. But, with his first 2 years, he's been a very, good cornerback. Even when we weren't as good in 2016 and our, secondary was bad, he was still a bright spot and he was good, this year. And then he worked his way up, and then after the first 2 games, he didn't start. At the third game, he started. We only lost 2 games with him, and then the playoff game where we lost one more. So we lost 3 games with him, and we won, 12. So we were 12-3 with him in the starting lineup. So obviously, he's kind of a deal breaker. And you're just looking, you could put him on opposite Lattimore against the second receiver. You give him some health, and he can be really successful. And now, if he could take the next step to maybe you don't give him as much help, and then safeties could be moved around and be even more versatile. To me, that just plays right into the defense Dennis Allen wants to play, and can make our defense even better. But, is he a key to the defense? I think he's definitely part of it, especially maybe if Lattimore's not as healthy, he could be a number one, for just a couple of games. He could be a great substitute, and he's just, to me, he's a great number 2, and he's going to develop even more to become maybe a 1A to Lattimore. But to me, his work ethic, it's, just as good as anyone's. So, coming from an undrafted free agent now to being, a stabilized starter in the league, it's very, very hard. And, he went through a lot to do that. And, he's a great cornerback and a great player to have in this locker room and on this team and a part of the boot gang in that secondary. So, on to our third and final storyline is, can Lattimore stay healthy, in 2018? So, to me, yes, he stayed healthy for most of last year. He played 13 games, which is, all right. And, hopefully as he gets older, another year past, he learns to stay even more healthy and play 16 games. And hopefully that injury risk goes down. I can see why he gets injured, but I just don't see it this year. I think he's going to play even more games than he did last year. He gets healthy, he gets a little more wise, and I think he can be, even better than he was last year. He's shooting for higher goals, as, he wants to win Defensive Player of the Year. He said that in an interview a couple days ago. So to me, he can definitely become the best cornerback in the league. He had 5 picks last year. I can't see why, he gets 7 picks, or maybe he may have less because they don't even targeting him anymore, which that would be amazing. If he's like Revis and they don't even target him, that would be, really big for this defense. It makes us much more versatile. But he just, he had a lot of he had 18 pass deflections, which was the most in our team. So to me, if they're going to keep on, challenging him, he's definitely going to get picks, and he's going to be very, very good. And hopefully they're going to stop challenging him, and that's just, one side of the field, no one's going to throw to. It's like, put him on the marsh, as we said last year. So overall, this group, if healthy, this group should be a major strength to this team in 2018 as they grow and develop after a breakout 2017. Adding Patrick Robinson, I can't see why not. We get better and become maybe one of the best units on this team. So now on to our next segment. It's going to be some Who Dat Nation fan questions. So first, from Who Dat Fan 94123 on Twitter, he asked, which rookie will make the biggest impact for the Saints in 2018? So, to me, I was down to two, either Traquan Smith, wide receiver out of UCF, as I said earlier, and Marcus Davenport, D-end out of University of Texas, San Antonio. And I'm going to go Marcus Davenport, and that's kind of an easy route to go, but I really think that he's going to, be, to me, he's going to be one of the best, D-ends on this team. So I could definitely see him, being opposite Cam Jordan, being a really, big force to be reckoned with. But, I'm telling you, you just look at, his scouting report. I'm just going to pull it up real quick. You just look at his stats and his athletic ability, and you're just looking wow. He's really, insane talent, and he's got all the tools to become a great player and a great pass rusher. And with Ryan Nielsen, I cannot see why not. He develops into another, just great, DN that goes opposite Cam Jordan for years. So, you just look at his strengths. They say he's long levered with a frame provided to add weight. So he's going to be able to add weight and, be able to, transition to the, NFL. And, he's going to he has aggressive demeanor as a hitter. Yeah, he goes full force in. He drives to the target, which is really good. He uses length to get through pass rusher. He has a very, very high motor, high drive. He can throw combos to disorient offensive linemen. All this stuff. He's a really good player. And you just look at it, I do not see, where he's going to be bad. I really trust Sean Payton, Jeff Ireland, Mickey Loomis, and our front office, with the draft, especially after 2017. I really feel like they hit on, Davenport. You just look at his stats, last year at University of Texas, San Antonio. He had 8.5 sacks, 55 tackles, 4 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles. He's just a complete stud for that growing program. And you just see that, he blew up. I remember watching it, and he just completely blew up an offensive lineman. I know it's not, as good as a, Division I school as other schools, but he just, pushed through an offensive lineman and just rocked the quarterback, forced fumble, and he picked it up and returned it. But, you just look at those plays and what he can do, and you're just looking, wow, he's a really, really good player. And, I think, Traquan Smith is also going to be a really good player. He can, he's going to be able to stretch the field, and he's going to be a big play player, get his first downs. But I just think Davenport is going to be, to me, he's going to have more opportunities to be the greater rookie. Him and Okafor are really going to battle it out to get that defensive end spot. Maybe they can, they share time. If he gets 5 sacks, Okafor gets 5 sacks, that's a 10 sack from the opposite side of Cam Jordan, who will probably get 12, 13, and that's a really, that's really, really good. But if he plays by himself, he can get 10 sacks by himself. I said I wouldn't be surprised, in an earlier episode, that if he gets, 10 sacks, 8 sacks, I can definitely see it. He looks like DeMarcus Ware, the second coming of DeMarcus Ware. To me, he's going to be a really, really, really good player. So, on to our next question is going to be by Domegoer9 on Podomatic, and he asked, what is your most intriguing storyline of 2018? So, I said, if the rookies from 2017 could develop more and get better and avoid a sophomore slump. So you're just looking up the key rookies from 2017: Lattimore, Ramczyk from the offensive tackle, Marcus Williams, and Alvin Kamara. Those are the 4 big ones. Also Alex Anzalone, if he can stay healthy, and Trey Hendrickson was pretty good last year. So to me, these players, they're going to have to show something different, because the NFL is now watching tape on them the whole offseason, and they're going to try to stop how they were last year. But now you got to give a completely different way of playing, or a semi-different way of playing. I shouldn't say completely different. So they can counter and become really, really good next year. To me, I can see that from all these players. These players are extreme hard workers. They're very smart football players, and they have attributes that no one else has in this league. Just look at Kamara, him being able to break tackles. Marcus Williams being able to read defenses and play center field. Lattimore to just lock up on the side of the field. Ryan Ramczyk, who was kind of a sleeper coming into this year, and he was really, really good for us last year and filling up a lot of holes, and he kind of stabilized the right tackle position, and it was nice, transition from Streif to Ramczyk. So, you just look at these guys, and I just don't see how they're, not going to get better. to me, will they be able to do that? That's really a storyline, because if they can't do that and they have a sophomore slump, this team won't be as good. This team could go 8-8, 9-7, or maybe even 7-9. But if they're able to take that next level, I could see this team going 12-4, 13-3, and we have the young talent. These players are gonna hopefully be good, but if they have a sophomore slump, that could really bear us to have a bad season. But to me, I just don't see how they're how they're gonna have a sophomore slump. To me, these players are too good to have one. They work too hard, and to me, they work as hard as anyone in this league. I just see every single one of these guys have chips on their shoulder. Lattimore was only picked 11th. He felt like he should have went top 5. Ramczyk, people were saying that he's not as good. Marcus Williams, obviously, he has a huge chip on his shoulder after last year against the Vikings, and Kamara went in the 3rd round. So he said, I want the Offensive Player of the Year. I want to win a championship. All these players, they have championship on their mind. They have personal goals that they want on their mind. So to me, this group is a special group, and I think they can be a group that wins multiple championships, maybe not even 1 but 2. So I just see this team, this group being very, very good, and obviously you're going to complement that with veterans, Breeze, Ging, Mike Thomas. No, not really a veteran, but and this year's rookie class. And I think you got a hell of a team. So on to our third and final question, and this was asked by Saints fan 134123, and he asked it by email, and he asked, who are you most scared about overtaking us in the division? So to me, I just want to start this off. I really think the Saints are going to win the division. Obviously we had a really, really good division last year, but I think it got a little worse. But I think Atlanta, I'm a little scared of them. I think you always got to be a little scared of them because they got just a ton of offensive talent. They have obviously Matt Ryan, Tevin Coleman, Devontae Freeman, Julio, Sanu, Ridley, and more. In their D, it could be good, could be bad. To me, I don't think they filled up a lot of holes that they should have. To me, they're a boom or bust team. They can either be really, really good or really, really bad. And that's what I really feel about them. And you just look at, Carolina. To me, they're kind of in a tailspin. To me, they're not going to be as good. And to me, Tampa Bay got better, but, they lost Winston for 3 games. I think that's going to be, a huge negative to their season in May. If they start 0-3, they're done. So, to me, it's going to be the Falcons just for those reasons. I just, because they can go 13-3, but I could see them also going like 5-11. So to me, it's all about, how their defense plays, and if their offense, because to me, Matt Ryan's, he had that one really good season, MVP season, and then really hasn't had a lot of great years. So, to me, he's, he can be a really, bad player. Not bad, I shouldn't say bad, but he can be an okay quarterback, or he can be a really, really good quarterback. And if he's okay and the defense, takes steps back, this team could easily be 5-11. And, if Julio, he maybe, he doesn't play as good, he's a little just upset, about his contract, scenario. So I can definitely see him also not being as good. And, and just look at maybe, these running backs. They're great running backs, but to me, we have better running backs. So I can definitely see us, being very, very good. But to me, they'll probably be around 11-5. But I can see them either being 13-3, 5-11, or in the middle, because to me, they're such kind of a wild card team. So, with that said, I just wanted to say, thank you to Who Dat Fan 94123, Don't Go or 9, and Saints Fan 134123 for asking some great questions this week. And now I think it's time to wrap up this podcast. So, if you enjoyed this podcast, follow us on Twitter at the Who Dat Dis, and on Podomatic at the Who Dat Discussion, and on YouTube we are the Who Dat Discussion. On YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and hit that notification icon so you know when our videos are in the future. If you want to ask a question to be answered on the show, or suggest a top 5 or position breakdown next week or future weeks, please tweet us at the Who Dat Dis, email us at thewhodatdis@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment on YouTube or Podomatic videos. So also, I'm very happy to announce that we're now on Google Play. So please check that out. If you're into Google Play and you use that, to listen to podcasts, we are now on that, and we are the Who Dat Discussion on there. Please subscribe to us on, Google Play, and, share it on Google Play. So also, just share this podcast in general, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your coworkers, share it with, anyone that likes the Saints and is part of the Who Dat Nation, and also, you could tweet us at the Who Dat Dis saying that, enjoy the podcast, and that, enjoy our Saints content, and I'll give you a shout out on future episodes, at the end of the episode, like now. So, with all that said, I just wanted to say, thank you to everyone who watched, the prior videos and that's watching this one and that's really supported us since the beginning, because we're still a very young podcast, and just to have any base like we have right now, to me, it's just exceeded my expectations. How much views we had, I would never thought that we would have this much views, and we really had. So, and just to me, from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you to Who Dat Nation once again. So with all that said, I just wanted to say thank you, and Who Dat.